Welcome, everyone, to episode 34 of the Doc and Jock Sports Show on the Detroit Sports Podcast. I am the Doc, John Macaroon, and joining me is my cousin. I think he has recovered from Monday and opening day, but by the looks of him, by the fact that he's yawned 3 times before we even got on the air, oh my goodness, cuz, are you going to make it through this podcast? What's going on, Adam?
Dude, I might fall asleep right on the mic. I really might. I'm dying. I'm tired.
So
and then on top of it, you just gave me my weakness. You gave me another brew, and you're like, here, suck this down. It'll help you.
You know
so,
what?
I don't know, hair of the dog, but it's late in the evening, so is that really hair of the dog?
I felt like we needed a kick to this podcast. Let's just keep the party rolling. I mean, Monday was opening day, and everyone had a great time downtown. The weather was perfect. God shined the light, the sun. It was beautiful. We got to walk outside, have a good time, and opening day did not fail to deliver. The Tigers came through with a victory, and the Tigers, kicked off the season with a 4-3 ninth inning victory over Kansas City. Great game all around, great experience, and kicking off the season, it's great. I'm glad spring is here. We can now do this podcast in warmer weather. We can have a good time instead of freezing. We are all thawing out here in the city of Detroit. It's all good, man. So how are you feeling?
I'm really tired right now.
What the hell is that about?
Opening day really did kick my butt. I sat there, I started like super early in the morning, and I went really, really late into the evening, and I'm still kind of feeling it a few days later, so I don't know. Let's get this going, and let's kind of see, hopefully I don't fall asleep on you.
Oh, don't
and
worry.
If I do, just sit there and, I don't know, throw a beer can at me. It'll be okay.
How can you fall asleep with a Coors Light can in your hand?
Dude, I'm dying. I really am dying. I sound bad, don't I?
I sound like an enabler.
Dude, maybe I need an AA meeting, 12-step program.
The only beer that I'll be drinking that is going to be allowed on this podcast is Coors Light. It's my favorite. It's ice cold. It's the coldest. It's the best beer on tap. I'm not into all these other beers. Maybe one day we'll have a chat on some other beers I should try, but I'm a simple guy. Give me the Coors Light on the tap, and I'm a happy man.
I'm a beer snob too, but I love Coors Light. So, yeah, Coors Light, Coors Light's my domestic, for sure.
All right, we got a good podcast for you guys today. This week, if you guys have been following us on Twitter at Detroit Podcast or our Facebook page, this is the week of Doc and Jock. We want to give a special thanks to Dean. Thank you very much for having us on your podcast. On the Dean's list, we had a great time, and it came out today, and it's available on our Facebook. You can click the link. Also, today, as you guys download this podcast, we are going to be on Churko and Company at the University of Detroit Mercy. We'll definitely put a link up at Detroit Podcast for you guys to listen. So this is Doc and Jock week, man. We're getting our voice out there. We're doing our thing, and people are starting to notice. They want to hear us bring the noise, and I can't wait. I can't wait to do it more and more all across Detroit, man. It's taken off. I'm really happy.
We're on so many different platforms. I don't even know what's going on. You're like the booking agent, and I'm always like, John, where are we going next? Just send me directions, and I'll meet you there. It's crazy. You got to sign up for everything around here.
That's right. And like I said, we love to talk sports. Our new motto is going to be, we talk sports any place, anytime, anywhere. Adam and I are down, and that's why we love doing this podcast, is that we get a chance, on a Wednesday evening to record this podcast, have a good time, and this podcast is definitely going to deliver. We are going to talk about the Tigers' first 2 games. We've got a lot of information to go over from the first 2 games. Very close games to start the season, and it's we've said that this season is going to be nail-biting all the way through, and we've already played 2 one-run games, and it's going to be like this, I think, the rest of the way. So we're going to hit on the Tigers. We're going to play a round of The Doctor is in Session. The Jock has 3 great questions lined up for me, and I'm going to hopefully deliver some great sports information as well as a little glimpse of my personality out there for you guys. And after The Doctor's in Session, we are going to, span the globe a little bit, hit some headlines locally and around the nation, and hit on some important sports topics. So, cuz, you ready to kick this bad boy off?
I can't wait. Let's do it.
All right, cuz. Like we said earlier on in the season previews, 2 very close one-run games. Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, they're in form already. I mean, Max Scherzer today, 8 strong innings, shutout baseball. Both pitchers did not get the decisions. Both of them got no decisions, but they both came out of their pitching performances showing great stuff. No real difficulties, no concern. They're ready to go. Our 2 aces are ready to go. I want to say it makes us happy that these guys can deliver and can be the best 1-2 combination in MLB, and it's great to see. I'm definitely appreciative, and I'm enjoying having this pitching staff, because I can definitely recall a time when we had the worst pitching staff, and now we got 2 horses. So that's good. The top 2 guys, they did their thing. They didn't get victories, but they gave us a chance to win the game. Now, I don't know how much I can take of these one-run games. The offense is a little bit, slow to start. We expected it. We expected that we were not going to score a lot of runs. Can you take all these close games so early in the season? So far, so good. We came out 2-0. It's better to win them. If you're going to play them, might as well win. And so we're at home against a division rival in the Kansas City Royals. Everyone out there in the nation, oh, Kansas City, my ass. Everyone out there is thinking, oh, this team is coming out, is going to be great. So it's good to beat them. It's good to start out the season 2-0. Ian Kinsler today, 3 for 5. Great addition now. Great start to the season for him. And it looks like he's going to take to Comerica Park very well. What's your take been on the first couple games this season?
Definitely scary. I think that what we kind of talked about leading up into the season when we previewed the Tigers, it's really there. There's not a whole lot of run support yet. And I don't know if it's going to come at all this season. They might be nail biters all the way through. It might be 162 nail biters, and then once you get into the playoffs, it's the same deal. I'm nervous for the season just because I don't feel like they have that booming bat. And Cabrera's going to get his. He's going to do what he does. Martinez is going to get his. He's going to do what he does. But I just don't feel like, not having Fielder there, it feels like there's a giant hole in this lineup. That being said, I've been very impressed with all the new additions. They've come through. You got to see it with Gonzalez. You got to see Castellanos. You got to see Kinsler. You got to see all these guys come through and contribute in the first 2 games, which was really nice. And I know going into the season, I was really calling Dave Dombrowski out. I maybe have to eat my words a little bit. It's only been 2 games, so I'm not going to eat a whole bunch of them. But the guys that he added definitely paid off, and they look good.
The DocNJock curse worked in reverse. I tweeted out Nick on game 1. Nick Castellanos has been underwhelming, and that was after his running mistake, trying to extend that play to second base and then getting called out. Then he came through in the 9th inning with a clutch hit to set up the winning run. Right now Dave Dombrowski's sitting up thinking, okay, I think I've gotten good pieces. I didn't know that Gonzalez got the game-winning hit in 2003 in the World Series. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. He was with the Marlins, I believe, correct? And he got the game-winning hit. And now, Dave Dombrowski brings him in, and he's coming through in the clutch in game 1. And, definitely he got the ire of the fans real early. Like, he made that error at shortstop, and everyone was booing, was kind of angry. But then he came through with the game-winning hit in the 9th inning, and everyone was like, okay, no problem. It's all good again. So for right now, he's doing okay. And Ian Kinsler, you know what? I think a change of scenery might just be good for him. Playing at a park like Comerica is good for a hitter's ballpark because you can get a lot of doubles. You can get a lot of triples that you would not normally get in other ballparks. And today showed some power. And if you can keep this up, 2 for 5, 3 for 4 performances, getting key RBIs at the top of the lineup, what more can you ask for? You are proving Dave Dombrowski to be correct. And all this season, the mantra should be Prince who? You know what? That should be the mantra. Prince who? We need to win these games now. It's good experience. We started off 2-0, and all you can say is Verlander, Scherzer, Anibal Sanchez. I don't see too many prolonged losing streaks with that pitching staff. Because right now, 2 games in, is there anything that's concerned you or anything that's kind of been brought to your attention that's been alarming to you?
I don't like Rajai Davis. I don't know what he brings. I really don't see it. He's frustrated me. I mean, I know it's only 2 games, but 2 games in, I'm frustrated with him. He didn't even make the lineup today. On top of that, just the ability to get runs across. This isn't something that we're used to seeing. Normally we sit there and we'll win a game 9-3, 6-3, 5-3, 5-2, 5-1. Usually there's a crooked number hanging somewhere on the scoreboard. And today we had to go into 10 innings. We had to get another walk-off, which was great because walk-offs are fun, but how long can that really last, and how long can we really count on that? That scares me.
And Joe Nathan came in today. You know what? I was surprised by the stat that he had never blown a save at Comerica Park. Today comes in with a 1-0 lead. Unfortunately, the bases got loaded, and luckily there was only a sacrifice fly, and the damage was done, and they got the game to the 10th inning. But you know what? I liked his performance on opening day. Kind of got everyone out. You know what? He doesn't throw too fast though. You can tell his pitches are like, I think 92 tops. So he's going to have to be a pitcher. Locate his pitches and get guys out.
He has a good arsenal. He's got 4 or 5 pitches that he can kind of use.
But doesn't blow you away.
Right. Exactly. Normally, a lot of times closers will have one go-to pitch that's look at Mariano Rivera. He had one pitch, and it was that crazy slider cutter that he had. So Joe Nathan's a little bit different. He's got four pitches that he can go to at any point, and if he needs to kind of sit there and trick around, he'll pull a 5th out. So he's got different stuff. Good stuff. Like you said, he's got to locate his pitches. He's got to be a pitcher, not a thrower.
Okay, of the new additions that have played now for the Detroit Tigers, anyone catch your eye? Who has impressed you the most so far in the first 2 games of the new additions to the Tigers?
I've been really taken aback by Nick Castellanos. Going into this season, I wasn't real sure what we were going to get. I was a little bit nervous, a little bit apprehensive, because there's been all this talk about, oh, Nick Castellanos is so good at third base. He's this, he's that. Let's move him to left field because we'll use some of his athleticism out there in the outfield. And then they moved him back to third base because Miguel moved over to first. But Nick Castellanos this, Nick Castellanos that. You never really knew what you were going to get with him because you really haven't seen him. You know, he did good things in the minors. He looks like he's the real deal, which is...
At 22.
Yeah, which is kind of eye-opening and a little bit shocking. So I'm really impressed with Nick Castellanos. Out of all the new Tigers that have been kind of brought in and called up, he's my new Tiger.
Exactly, and I'm just happy with guys who come in with a lot of hype and can live up to it. And the good thing is, cause too, he came up last September, so he played a little bit, got to go on the road with the guys, got to kind of see what the lifestyle is like. So it's not like he's coming in raw. And so this season he's gonna have a chance to earn his keep and to do his thing. And if he can produce at third base, that's a big bonus. Now, just real quickly, a lot of national pundits came out once the Cabrera contract hit and were like, what are you doing, Tigers? And they kind of came out and started slamming the Tigers as to why they would pay Miguel Cabrera that much money. And my thoughts on it is twofold. I think for the short term, he's worth every single penny. But right now, baseball has an issue with giving guys in their 30s these long-term contracts. In 5 years, it's not going to pay off as much. But the key is this. If the Tigers can win a World Series in the next 2 or 3 years, every single penny of it is worth it. And now I don't foresee, at the back end of the contract, there are 2 option years. So the Tigers do have a right to decline those options, but I don't see that happening. I just think that if he can deliver just one World Series, a championship to this city, the last championship was in 1984 when both of us were still in our diapers, still crawling around, pissing all over the place. But it's been 30 years since, and the Tigers have shown, okay, this is our guy. Whatever the issue with the Tigers in terms of cost cutting, whatever their budget is, they said, and they told everyone in Major League Baseball, this is the guy, this is our franchise player, and we rewarded him. And so they did it quickly. They did it with a year left on his deal. So they didn't even let him consider free agency because Dave Dombrowski has the utmost respect for Miguel Cabrera. And he's got a thing for all the guys from the Marlins. Everyone from the Marlins is like...
Everybody he drafted
from the Marlins is on his Christmas card list, and he's going to bring them in from the 93 team. They're going to be coaches. They're going to be players. But, Dave Dombrowski committed to Miguel Cabrera, and I'm happy for him right now. Maybe in 5 years, we might be saying something different. What's your take on first, the reaction by the media, and second, the reaction to the deal?
I myself was stunned when I found out that this was going on. I was in the middle of a class, and I looked at Twitter real quick to see what you were posting because you were hooked on Twitter. So I was sitting there, I was checking on what you were posting, and I was just blown away. I was like, no way. Like, there was talks about this, but nobody thought that this was going to get done, at least not this quickly. So just initially, I was shocked at how quickly it got done. I was shocked at the number, and then I needed to sit there. I needed to kind of take a step back, and I needed to think and process this contract. It's an 8-year extension, so basically, it's a 10-year deal for $292 million. I like the contract because Miguel's not going anywhere. He's the best player in baseball right now. There's not too many guys you can say that about ever. So we have the best player in the major leagues right here, right now, and we'll have him basically until his career ends. I like the contract for the first 5 years, kind of what you were saying. I like it for the first 5 years. The last 5, it's going to suck. Let's just be honest. It's going to be bad. It's almost like the Albert Pujols contract. It looks good up front, but those last few years when, Miguel might be overweight, Miguel might be hurt, Miguel might not be able to perform as well in the field. His bat might have slowed down.
Someone might slip him some alcohol. He might fall off the wagon.
Right. He might go on a scotch bender and threaten to blow up buildings and be like, you know what? I'll blow it up and I'll rebuild it. I got so much money, bitches. Bam, bitches. You never know what's going to happen with Miguel. But short term, love it. Long term, hate it. And it's just one of those things that you have to sit there and you have to basically bite your lip as a fan because this is how it gets done. He's almost owed this much money because of everything great that he's done. It's not too often that you have a Triple Crown winner, you have the best player in baseball, you have a good third baseman, but you have an outstanding first baseman in that same player. You normally don't get this combination of a player. On top of it, everybody in that locker room loves him. He's not a head case. He's not a maniac, except when he's drinking scotch. So pay the man his due. He deserves it.
And another caveat to that contract. Did you see the TMZ video of him getting his hair cut and the
He was
barber
dancing with his barber?
dancing with the barber.
Yeah.
That's actually something we don't get to see. Is the pure innate reaction of a player getting the news that from his agent that, dude, you got hooked up for 10 years, $292 million. There should be more of that. Like maybe just get on this and pitch a show where just athletes and their negotiations and when they get their deals or when they don't get their deals, or like follow an agent, a high profile agent, and see how they actually negotiate these deals. Like, do they get rejected 5-6 times before they actually do get the money, or what it's like when a player is really excited and then he gets cut, or a player is really, really excited and then he gets traded to like the worst team. That'd be a great show. But it was actually a great pure reaction for Miguel Cabrera and his barber, who automatically told everyone that his rate doubled for Miguel Cabrera's haircut. So
the best part about that video, just go a little bit deeper with it, it just goes to show his good nature and how childlike he really is. He's like it was like a kid on Christmas who just got a bike. It was great.
It's all good. And like I said, he's a cornerstone piece, and we locked him up. We're going to get to enjoy him for the next 10 seasons, and definitely I'm going to get a chance to go down to Comerica Park, and hopefully he continues to hit some home runs and continue to get key hits for the Tigers. Great start to the season. We are 2-0. We are first place in the AL Central. It's great to be where we are now as a Detroit Tigers fan. Just real quick before we go to the next segment, your reaction to just Comerica Park. We haven't talked too much about it. I don't think you and I have ever gone to a game together. What's your take on sitting in a ball game at Comerica Park? Do you like it? Do you recall going to Tiger Stadium? Do you see any difference or anything like that you want to talk about?
When I was a kid, I went to Tiger Stadium quite a bit, actually. The cool thing about let's start with Tiger Stadium. The cool thing about Tiger Stadium, the concourse was very unique. You felt almost like you were walking in like a dank dungeon. It smelled like peanuts and urine, which was different. It smelled like baseball, but it also smelled like peanuts and urine. So you'd walk through the concourse, which was just dark and dank and kind of cold and musty. And then you would get these like shines of light coming through from where you could enter on to go to your seat. And as you would kind of look through, and you'd be blinded by the light because you're coming from someplace so dark, you would see just this green, and it would just smell just so epic. It would just smell like baseball. It would just smell crisp, clean. You got to smell the grass. Tiger Stadium it was just very unique, very unique. I love Comerica. Comerica is great. Comerica is an awesome place to take your family, spend an afternoon, spend an evening. It's a lot of fun. If you're not really a hardcore baseball fan, you just want to go for the atmosphere, great. If you're a hardcore baseball fan, it's great. I like the seating at both. I thought the seating at Tiger Stadium was a little bit more intimate. I felt like you were more right on top of the action, but I don't have any complaints when I go to Tiger Stadium. I enjoy, I can sit in the nosebleeds. I've sat all the way up at the very top.
Currently you have no complaints going to Comerica.
What's up?
Yeah, currently you have no complaints going to Comerica.
No, I enjoy it. The only thing I don't like is I don't like paying $9 for a beer, but Miguel's got to get paid.
Yeah, I can't wait to go down there and try the poutine hot dog. I think that's been raved about and talked about throughout the offseason, and they just put in new grass, so they're making their upgrades. And then also, definitely what we're going to have to check out is they came out and said that they renovated the Pepsi Porch out in center field. They put $4 million into Comerica Park, and you can just kind of sit like in a bar setting, in a social setting with your friends, and kind of overlook the game from center field. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, checking that out and seeing the new renovations to Comerica Park. So it's going to be a great season. I'm looking forward to chatting Tiger baseball. It's a great time, and the Tigers are putting on a product that we can all be proud of. All right, I just got the text message. You know what I hate about cell phones? You just get. I'm addicted to sports, so I get all the alerts. The Pistons lost 101-94 to the Pacers. So hashtag save the pick. Yeah, Pistons lose tonight, 101-94 to the Pacers. I wouldn't predict that they would win too many more games the rest of the year. You believe this? 27 wins. We were 20 games off from our predictions. Ugh, horrible. Let's not waste too much time on the Pistons. Coming up after the break, we are going to play a round of The Doctor is in Session. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Detroit Sports Podcast. The Doc is still enjoying his Coors Light. Still got half the can left, and I'm going to probably finish it throughout this segment because I'm kind of anxious to see what the Jock has in store for me. But before we get into the Doctors in Session, I just want to thank everyone for checking out our website at www.DetroitSportsPodcast.com. It's a great Detroit sports website. It's got everything from blogs. It's where you can find our podcast. We got great deals on sports gear, sports memorabilia. You can get tickets. Anything at all related to Detroit sports, you can find at our website. And you can support us by clicking on those banner links. If you're going to go to shop online through Amazon, Groupon, eBay, check out our website, click through the banner links, show us a little love. And if you are a fan of the show, if you are a regular listener and a regular subscriber, please consider donating to us $1 a month. Just for the low price of $1 a month via PayPal, ultra secure, you can help contribute to our website and help keep our show on the internet. Like I said, we have over 34 episodes that you can click on anytime. If you would like to donate $1 a month via PayPal, do so at www.DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Thank you very much. All right, Jock, you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
You're the king of the couch, so let's get it in.
The king of the couch is in his seat and ready to deliver.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man. And I'm saying, woo, right here. I'm the man. Woo!
All right, on Wednesday afternoon, South Carolina had its pro day. Out of it came a few comments from Jadeveon Clowney, who believes he should be the number 1 overall pick. Do you agree with him? If so, why or why not?
You know, it's a great comment. I think it shows his confidence. Now, here's the number one concern with Jadeveon Clowney. You have to fight hard when you get a reputation of being lazy. And so a lot of people are talking, the rumblings are around the NFL, and the talk in the media is this guy a hard worker? This guy's obviously blessed with a lot of talent. And you've seen it. Everybody became aware of Clowney after that monster hit on the Michigan player with everyone thought was Denard Robinson because he had the curls, but I forget who it was. But he crushed a Michigan running back, and so that put him on the map, and it was shown so often that everyone was like, this man's going to deliver in his senior season. Then he kind of did the senioritis kind of thing and kind of strolled through last year, kind of under the radar, and you know what? The biggest concern is when your head coach isn't your biggest proponent. You know, kind of Steve Spurrier kind of said, you know, at South Carolina, you know, he may be someone that may take plays off. He may be someone that is not as consistent week in and week out. And so his head coach kind of let that rumor kind of percolate even further when it started. And so all the people in the know in football think to themselves, okay, this guy's a freak of nature, and this guy is a strong defender. The proof is not in the pudding yet, in that we have to kind of, you know, have a little bit of trust in him in his work ethic. And so for me personally, I don't like to personally draft someone if I have any inkling of a doubt about their work ethic. That's the least concern you should have about an athlete. You are getting paid millions of dollars, and so being paid that much money is a big commitment. If there's any thought in my mind that you're going to be lazy and not put forth the best effort, I can't take you. So with that said, my opinion is he should not be the number 1 pick, and I don't think he's going to be, because Houston needs a quarterback, and Bill O'Brien is the quarterback's coach. So if they do take Clowney, I would be utterly surprised.
All right. This past month, Red Wing forward Gustav Nyquist was named Player of the Month by the NHL. I believe this is the 2nd or 3rd time he's received this honor. How impressed have you been with him specifically?
Oh my gosh, 27 goals. He's been the MVP. He's on pace now to lead the team in points. Like I said, we've talked about it before. He started the season off in the minors. He hasn't even played the full season. And you and I were kind of going back and forth this afternoon about, you know, has a Red Wing come out and played like this as a rookie? I haven't seen one since Steve Yzerman. I mean, Steve Yzerman came on the scene as an 18-year-old and took the league by storm. And so this brings back shades of Stevie Y here with 27 goals and not even 60 games. I mean, come on, man. That's unbelievable. And so he's almost single-handedly carrying us into the playoffs. Right now, I think we're a 7th seed, and tonight we're playing the Boston Bruins, which could be a potential playoff matchup. So I'm looking forward to see the highlights after we wrap up this podcast. But Gustav Nyquist, all hats off to him, and he single-handedly kind of rejuvenated the Wings. He's kind of single-handedly rejuvenated the energy, people's energy, like, okay, we can kind of tolerate if we flame out in the playoffs this year because the future is bright with him and Tatar. What he's done, and especially the nature of his goals, he's got a goal-scoring touch. He looks like he's an ultra competitive guy. And what I like is you can tell what I like about Gustav Nyquist is he's got hockey IQ. And so you can tell by his passes, he can anticipate plays. And so what a blessing it is to have him. What a blessing it is to have a player like that on our team and someone like that can put the puck in the net and can be a leader. It's really tough to have both that combination of being a talented player as well as someone that can lead at that young age, and it's great to have him.
Moving on. We're going to go back to the NBA. I know you didn't want to spend too much time on the Pistons, but I have a small Piston question for you.
All right, hold on. Before you ask, I'm going to take a swig of my Coors Light here.
Yeah, sip that down real quick.
No, I appreciate it, but I told my wife I wouldn't drink tonight. It hits your lips. It's so good.
All right, so ESPN put out a list of the top NBA front office rankings. The Pistons' Tom Gores came in at number 24. Is that fair or foul? Before you proceed, just to let you know, number 1 was San Antonio, number 2 was Dallas, number 3 was the Miami Heat. Bringing up the rear,
you got it.
Number 30 was New York, number 29 was the Clippers, number 28 was the Charlotte Bobcats, and they said overall, Michael Jordan's probably the worst out of everybody. Then Cleveland, Milwaukee, Minnesota, your Pistons, and the Phoenix Suns.
Okay, I think that's a good slot, 24. I mean, here's the thing. Tom Gores is in his early tenure as an executive of an NBA team. And so his biggest mistake has been his handling of Joe Dumars. And so I think he came in, early on and kind of just evaluated, kind of sat back and saw, first of all, that first year, what's going on with the organization. Now, this last offseason was his biggest mistake that put him in this position at 24. He should have, with all due respect to Joe Dumars, just let him go. Because what you've done now is basically set the franchise back maybe an additional 2 or 3 years. Because Joe Dumars was given the edict basically this year, make the playoffs or else. Okay, so you had all this free agent money, and you decided to spend that money on Josh Smith and Brandon Jennings. Those guys together have as much leadership as my cup that's in front of me right here. My Duffy Doherty Michigan State cup.
Duffy Doherty, by the way, sits in on every podcast, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, exactly. My Duffy Doherty Michigan State cup sits in on every podcast. He's got as much leadership as that cup there. So it's...
He's leading Detroit Sports Podcast all the way to the promised land.
There you go. So, pretty soon I'm going to start pouring the rest of this Coors Light in there. I'm starting to feel good here. But it's not right that Joe Dumars was able to make those picks. And so now he's gone. He's going to be gone at the end of this year. A 27-30 win season with this group. Give me a break. The Eastern what adds salt to the wound is that the Eastern Conference is piss poor. With a mediocre 38-win season, we would have been in the playoff hunt. And so we're sitting here, and it's kind of embarrassing to think about and talk about what's happened with the Pistons. Tom Gores hasn't shown us really anything other than, putting on a great celebration for the bad boys, that he's done anything well with the Pistons.
He does a good job dancing in his suite there. That's always fun to watch.
And if you watch that celebration, that hug with Joe Dumars was as awkward as seeing your ex-girlfriend, at the mall after 2 years of dating, you guys seeing each other with your new partners. It's like, ooh, that hug was awkward. And so you can tell Joe Dumars is probably going to resign, or they're going to be classy with him, I hope. But it's just, right now we're in a transition period, and the Pistons, I just think that they wasted another season, and you got to blow the whole thing up. We've talked about it on other podcasts. You got to blow the whole thing up. A new coach, new general manager, new players. You basically have 3 players that you're going to keep. You're going to keep Contavious Caldwell-Pope. You're going to keep Andre Drummond. And you could think about keeping Singler. Anyone else, I'd let go.
You got to keep Josh Smith, though. Ugh. You have to.
You're stuck with
too
him.
Long.
You're stuck with him.
It's not because you want to. It's because you have to. Nobody wants him. Nobody wants that contract. But, yeah, no, you're right. You're right on. You know what? That's great insight. Everything you said, I totally agree with, and we don't agree on anything hardly ever. So you're right on.
This has been, the first season of our podcast. The Pistons just kind of gave us they gave us nothing.
It's hard to talk about them.
Yeah.
We can't really come on here. We can't really discuss them because all we're going to do is bash them. And if you want to hear us bash the Pistons for 20 minutes, I mean, I guess we could do it, but it's just going to get old because we're going to say the same damn thing every week. So I choose to ignore them for the most part.
Did you go to any games this year?
I try to work interesting things in like this.
Yeah. Did you go to any games at the Palace this year?
No. Hell no. They're not getting any of my money.
It's actually an enjoyable experience to go down to the Palace. It's always kind of a good time. They put on a good show and things like that, but the product is just so horrible. And to show, just to show how bad it is, you're honoring the bad boys. You would think they'd at least put forth an effort. You've beaten Miami before. You've put together performances and beaten Miami and Indianapolis this season. And to put together that performance and then to go the next night and to get blown out by Philly, I mean, you cost us the chance to see Philly have the record, the record in futility. You cost us that chance, Pistons. Thank you very much. And so with that, we'll end the discussion about the Pistons. Let's let that go.
Hey, you know what we should do sometime? Just had this thought. We should just get really loaded on Coors Light one time and just do a podcast.
I was thinking that. I was just thinking that. I was thinking, like, you know what would happen if before your second question, I was thinking, man, if I drank like 2-3 more of these, what would come out of our mouths? But maybe we will. Maybe we'll do it. maybe you know what? Our 50th podcast, we'll maybe line up a couple and we'll have a good time.
Pop some champagne or something and drink some Coors Lights and just get wasty pants.
There you go. All right. Is that it, Jock? Anything else on your mind?
Dude, that's all I got for you.
All right. Hopefully I did a good job.
You did. You know what? I was really impressed with you because normally you do a satisfactory job, but you brought the thunder today. I was impressed.
The king of the couch is out of session. Time's up. Stay tuned. After the break, we're going to kind of span the globe, hit on some headlines, and we'll talk about some things that have been interesting us in the headlines nationally and locally. Stay tuned. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Detroit Sports Podcast. Again, everyone, check us out. The Doc and Jock Sports Show is on every Thursday. New shows available. You can subscribe to our podcast at iTunes, and you can follow us on Twitter at Detroit Podcast. Guys out there, if you want to debate sports with two guys that are passionate about sports in the area, hit us up on Twitter at Detroit Podcast. Adam and I are always constantly throwing questions out there. Please feel free, leave a response. We do retweet most comments that are sent to us. I believe we are one of the better Twitter sites out there in terms of talking about Detroit sports. We give our opinions. We definitely like interacting with the fans. So please feel free. Don't hesitate to message us on Twitter at Detroit Podcast.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport.
Right now, Adam and I kind of have been spanning the globe, looking at some sports topics when we were looking at what we were going to talk about on this podcast. And so just real quickly, because, the news broke that Tiger Woods is not going to play the Masters for the first time in 20 years. Just your thoughts. Do you think that, real quickly, yes or no, do you think he's going to break Jack Nicklaus's record, and do you think he'll ever get another major?
No, I don't think he has. I think he'll get another major. I just don't think he has the longevity. At this point in his career, he's gotten old very quickly, and it really seems like he's kind of losing it at this point. So I don't think he beats the record. I think he gets at least maybe one. I think he gets at least one more major. I just think he's breaking down right before our eyes, and it kind of sucks to see it because.
And his career went by fast, didn't it? It was like that, 96. He started, around the time of 96, 97, he came on the scene. And a point that I listened to, a point that was brought up that I kind of took to heart was there aren't really that many more African Americans playing golf than in the past. So while he did, spark a debate about race in sports, and while people thought that, maybe more black people would play golf, it just kind of hasn't happened yet. But in terms of his career, it's just a shame that many people are going to have to talk about his sexual escapades in terms of his career, and it kind of was a downfall. And unfortunately, yeah, you're right. I don't think we're going to see a renaissance where he just all of a sudden gets 2 or 3 majors in a row. He may get 1, he may get 2, but Jack Nicklaus's record is safe. And it's kind of a shame when you talk about people that could have been influential in sports and could have had, what they did with that influence. Unfortunately for him, he kind of had some personal issues, and that bled into, his career and caused a negative impact. And that's really unfortunate.
You know what the worst part is?
The worst part is
Sex with Porn Stars was his spinach. He was Popeye, and Sex with Porn Stars was his spinach.
The worst part is
which is awesome.
The worst part is everyone's thinking, you know what, Tigers, line up a couple ladies and just get back to it. Just listen, it's no big deal,
just
man.
Go bang some broads. It's cool.
Just get back on the train, man. It's okay. Sex addiction, you could be far worse than having a sex addiction.
Right.
Far worse.
You could be sitting there snorting rails and doing coke and
exactly. What
other stuff.
Sex addiction, please. Come on. As a doctor, sex addiction, please. My goodness. All right. Good news out of Spartan Camp. You know what's great? Coming out of the basketball season, both Michigan and Michigan State, clap for them. They finished in the Elite Eight. Good for them. They did a good job. They came up a little short. They kind of broke everyone's heart. But let's just be realistic. The NCAA tournament is a crapshoot, and nowadays with the quick turnaround from a Friday, Sunday, or a Thursday, Saturday situation, it's just you kind of have to, like we said in earlier podcasts, you have to get the breaks. And it just didn't happen for both Michigan and Michigan State. And for all you Michigan fans out there, shame on you. A lot of you on Twitter were like pulling out we overachieved this year without Mitch McGary. You blasted all the Michigan State fans nonstop, day after day, for saying, we were injured all year when we beat you guys when Michigan and Michigan State played on a neutral field, on a neutral site for a championship. Michigan State spanked you, and we came out and said that's what our Michigan State team looks like. And so you all came down on us and would say, Michigan. How can you say that Michigan State was injured all year? We beat you twice. And then after you lose to Kentucky, a team of 5 freshmen, and you guys had arguably the better team, you came out with, we had a good season without Mitch McGary. Please, spare me that kind of talk. You really did choke away a chance to get to the Final Four and have a better season than Michigan State by blowing that game. Now, it wasn't...
You can say that about Michigan State, too. I'm not going to let you sit here and rail on Michigan the whole time. You can say that about Michigan State.
Here's the thing.
Brandon Dawson didn't show up.
Here's the thing.
Keith Appling kind of did.
Said this.
Gary Harris did for your final game. But
Nobody
come on
said
now.
this. I sat and watched every minute of that Virginia game. Virginia took it out of them. After that game was done, in my little Sparty heart, I was thinking, that game left a dent. It's like one of those prize fights where you win the fight, but you come out maybe in the next fight and you start showing a little damage in training where maybe you're a little bit slower, you're not as quick. That fight versus Virginia took a lot out of Spartans. And in my little Sparty heart, I told the guy I was watching the game with, that game, because Virginia was putting pressure on him for 40 minutes.
Dude, we talked about it.
Yeah,
we said that was going to be a really close game.
You know what? Really close game.
Knew it was going to be a bloodbath.
But intense defensive pressure. And you remember, they played at 10 o'clock at night. The game didn't end until 12:15. Then you got to come around on a Sunday at 2 o'clock. Get out of here. And Shabazz Napier.
Don't start making excuses.
I'm not making excuses.
Don't make excuses.
I'm not making excuses. Listen.
Shabazz Napier might be one of the best players in the country
Michigan
right now.
State,
he's playing out of his mind.
9 times out of 10 beats UConn, well rested, with a week off, and at any site.
Right, but
a tournament
that's
game,
part of the tournament.
2 days
That's part of the
rest.
tournament you play. You
It's
get
not
that
an
1 day
excuse, but
turnaround.
that's what happened.
And that's how it is.
Was that the Spartan team?
Usually, you
Was
would
that
take
the
Tom
Spartan team you saw?
Izzo. You would take Tom Izzo any day of the week on a 1 day turnaround. He has the best record coming off of a 1 day turnaround, beating teams in the tournament. That's how he staked his name. That's why he is Mr. March. He's not Mr. Program like he claimed he was. He's Mr. March. His program was shit this year, and he sat there and he turned it on in March. And he sat there and he made a great run, and he just got popped by
Program was not shit. All
Kentucky
the players were injured, and so now you saw what the team looked like.
What do you want?
What I want,
recruit better.
What I want was Keith Appling to play healthy and get whatever was going on in his
healthy.
head. He looked
The guy put 41 up the first week.
No.
And he put 21 up the other. He put 21 up against Connecticut.
No, I said Keith Appling, not Adrian Payne.
I'm sorry.
Payne
You're right.
stepped
You're
up.
right.
Adrian Payne.
I got all worked up and started yelling at you.
Yes, Adrian Payne lived up to the hype. He played well, but started jacking up too many threes in the game versus UConn. But Keith Appling, we needed him. 1 game, and of course, what the hell was up with that what the hell was up with that foul? I mean, we were so close. We clawed our way back. You don't. It's basketball 101. You don't foul a guy who's about to jack up a 3. Keith, come on, my man. Please, why would you do that? But you know what? Like I said, I can give them a pass because I saw that Virginia game. I saw what they did versus UConn. That was not obviously the Spartan team that we were used to. They played their worst game, and Napier stepped it up. And I'm not going to make excuses, but I am going to say, when you play UConn at Madison Square Garden, you're not going into an easy environment, and you're not going to, just...
Sounds like excuses.
It's not an excuse. It's what happened. And so Michigan State, all credit to Tom Izzo. All you can say about this season was a wasted chance. We really had a chance to win the national title.
It goes both ways. Michigan, too. Michigan wasted their chance, and I really feel if they could have got by Kentucky, they had there was a great opportunity there because they had to get by Wisconsin, and then it was whoever was coming out of the other end.
Now we play the waiting game to see, please Gary Harris stay, but he's not going to stay. And so Mitch McGary, it would behoove you to stay, and Adam and I will talk about it further about the decisions about these players at both Michigan and Michigan State. It's going to be a different year next year. It's going to be a big turnaround for both teams because a lot of their players are going to go pro. And so, and you know what? All credit to U of M and MSU. A lot of their players are going to be drafted in the first round this year. So you're going to see a lot of Spartans, a lot of U of M representation in the NBA draft. And Nothing more you can say about that. Now, on to college football. Great news for the Spartans. Malik McDowell, finally, today at the deadline, signed with the Spartans, signed his national letter of intent, ending his whirlwind tour of other universities. And, do you believe that U of M plays their spring game this Saturday? Usually that's a big deal. Nobody's talked about it. And you want to know why there's crickets in Ann Arbor? Because there's nothing going on with the program. So there's no hype, there's no love, there's no expectations. I mean, literally, would you say that this is the worst offseason for U of M in a long time?
No, because I didn't think that their recruiting was all that bad. I thought they actually did a pretty solid job recruiting. Again, this goes back to recruit Knicks, and everybody's like, recruiting, 4 or 5 stars. Oh, that's great, and that's fine and good. It's how you fit these pieces into whatever you're working with and what your system is. So I think it'll be interesting to see what system that they unveil and what they roll out. I would hope that defense is stronger. I would hope that offense is stronger. They now have a new offensive coordinator. I don't know. We'll see kind of what happens here.
How much better is Michigan State with Malik McDowell? You got a 6'6", I think 290-pound defensive end that can play in goal line situations, that can play inside, that can play outside. You just got a beast on a defense that was already going to be nationally ranked in the top 10. Good Lord. I mean, Pat Narduzzi is a loyal coach. He's been with Michigan State for so long, and he's now going to man this defense with Malik McDowell. I mean, Michigan against Michigan State had negative 69 rushing yards, just to refresh your memory. And it could be worse next year because, for those of you who don't know, for some odd scheduling reason, Michigan plays at Michigan State again this year. So that would be 2 years in a row that Michigan has to travel to East Lansing to try to beat the Spartans. And sitting here in early April, you could almost guarantee that Michigan is going to lose. And so it's a great feeling sitting here. I can sit here and be all cocky because Michigan State's no longer in the Big Ten picture. We're talking about national championship picture. And sitting here in April, while that thought is a little bit premature, a man can dream. And I'm going to dream about national championships all over again. And just remember, who was the Rose Bowl champion? The Michigan State Spartans, baby. Drop the mic.
I think Malik McDowell going to MSU definitely makes them a better team. I'm happy that he got to go to the school that he wanted to, and I'm glad that all the drama with his mom maybe not gets pushed aside, but I think it just allows him the opportunity to do what he wants to do. It should have been his decision the whole time. So I'm happy he gets to go where he wants to go. That being said, I'm upset that he's not going to Michigan, but that's me.
All right, cuz. News today broke. Dan Orlovsky's coming back to the Lions.
Good old Dano!
Cuz, fingers crossed, I'm just sitting here hoping that nothing happens to Matthew Stafford because little high ankle sprain, a little nick here or there, maybe a shoulder problem, maybe a missed coverage, and he gets sacked and is out of the game. We got Dan Orlovsky and Kellen Moore to back up Matthew Stafford. You mean, come on, man. And it would be horrible if they went in the draft and got a quarterback now at this point. You just got to roll with those 3 guys. You have to draft potentially 6 to 8 defensive players. And so it's just, I'm not really liking that move. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it like a 2.
You just pray to God that Matt Stafford doesn't get hurt. That's all you can do at this point. It's not a good move. I mean, you lost Sean Hill, and he was probably one of the better backups in the league. You lost him, and now what are you going to do?
Well, Matthew Stafford got hurt in another way, in that he proposed to his longtime girlfriend, Kelly Hall.
Oh, man, we got to hear more of her mouth.
So, potentially, if there's problems down the line, that's half your money, Matthew. So you better lock up that prenup.
Prenup?
Prenup, please. All right. For some free agency news, Desean Jackson kind of wore out his welcome with all his antics in Philadelphia. He kind of was one of those players, cause that whenever he would perform great, would want to renegotiate his contract. And so he let his feelings be known in Philadelphia that, hey, I'm not happy. And so when he left, a lot of the players kind of were like, great, that's great news, man, because he was a talker. He kind of was a nuisance in the locker room in Philadelphia. But the Redskins scooped him up for a 3-year deal for $24 million. How do you think the Redskins offense is going to look now with Pierre Garçon, RG3, and now Desean Jackson in the fold?
I think as long as RG3's healthy, I think this is going to be a really incredible offense. You got to remember, their new head coach, he's an offensive mind. So as long as RG3's healthy, that offensive line looks good, I think this is going to be a very dynamic offense. I think he gives them just an explosive player that you can either put out really wide, you can bring him in, put him in the backfield. You can do so much with Desean Jackson because he's an amazing athlete that he's just going to sit there and he's just going to make RG3, I think, look that much better. If you remember RG3's rookie season, the guy was gangbusters. He looked incredible. Hurt his knee, Last year, you could tell that it bothered him a lot, that offensive line looked porous at times. So I think this now gives him a little bit more incentive, and I think it helps that offense because you can do so much with that specific player where you can just move him all over the field, and he becomes a matchup problem for everybody. So I think it's going to be pretty great. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Plus, this helps me in my fantasy team. Thank you, RG3.
Very good. Just real quickly, your thoughts on Derek Jeter last year. Played for the Yankees, great career, model citizen from Kalamazoo, played great, obviously a future MLB Hall of Famer. Kind of one of those guys is a good guy. You can't say too much bad about him other than he played for the Yankees. He had a great career, but he's doing his victory lap this year in his last MLB season.
I love Derek Jeter. Any man who can pull the type of tale that he pulls and sits there and gives them gift baskets for sleeping with him and then pulls the same tail and he bangs so many broads, he has no idea who he's sticking it to, that he gives the same broad the same going away basket for letting him stick her. He's my hero. I think Derek Jeter's the man. I love Derek Jeter's leadership for the Yankees. I hate the Yankees, but I love Derek Jeter's leadership for the Yankees. I think Derek Jeter, just as a baseball player, outstanding. You want him on your team. No matter what, you want him on your team. He makes a world of difference, especially for that Yankees lineup. And like I said, on top of it, I mean, the guy's got a list that's just... The only person who I think maybe rivals it is George Clooney. That's it.
You could have worse reputations, that's for sure. And Derek Jeter, came out of Kalamazoo, had a great career. And again, his career went by fast too, but he won all those World Series. And you just see the parallels of his career versus Alex Rodriguez. And what a difference, huh? A man that's kind of a class act, kind of a guy's guy, versus Alex Rodriguez that's kind of known as kind of like a punk and kind of has lost respect from pretty much everybody based on how he acts, based on his attitude, and just based on the fact that, not only did he get caught with steroids allegedly once, but multiple times, allegedly. Give me a break, dude. Give me a break. All right, another issue. Obviously now, looking at the Red Wings, there's a potential matchup versus Boston. Do you think they match up well with Boston? What would your take be on a series versus them? And are you happier now? It looks like they're going to get in for the 23rd consecutive season. What's your take on the Wings right now? And what's your take on a potential Wings versus Boston matchup?
I say long live the streak. Streak is important. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But long live the streak. Just something nice to say. We were here for this. This was our team. So I think the streak is great. Matching up against Boston. Boston's on a mission. They're on a tear right now. They're so bent out of shape about last year losing the Stanley Cup that they want blood, and they're out there to get it. I think it'd be a very difficult matchup if the Wings were to play Boston for round 1 of the Stanley Cup.
6 games, probably they'd lose 42 in 6 games.
I would probably go 5 games. Boston is that focused right now and that dialed in. I think the Wings would lose in 5. Just here, I'll give you a little bit of an example here. Right now, they're in the 3rd period, and Boston has 29 shots on goal to the Wings 13. Oh, I mean, Boston's just controlling the play right now. I mean, granted, Detroit's 2-1, and I think as this season progresses and we get closer to the playoffs, I think Detroit's going to get a few more pieces back. There's already talk about Datsuk coming back possibly on Friday. Zetterberg said he'd be back for the playoffs if they can get there. So you got guys coming back, and I think that will help. That being said, you don't want to see Boston. That's the one team you don't want to see.
And just real quick, just your thoughts. Who likely not to be on the roster next season?
I think with the young guns who have come in and stepped up and played so big. You've got Nyquist, who we said was named to Player of the Month this past month. On top of it, I think, like we said, he's been honored 2 or 3 times before that with that. You have Thomas Yurko, and you've got Tatar. You have all these young players coming in that they have their roster spots. They're not going anywhere. They won't be moving down anytime soon. I think the Wings will probably look to move a forward or two who has some value. Don't look at them to shake the lines up too much, but move a forward or two who has some value and try to add a piece like a defenseman, a 5th or 6th defenseman, and look for this to happen in the offseason. And I think those guys, I think you're looking at a guy like a Justin Abdelkader, a Darren Helm, a Drew Miller, one of our third-line guys who brings something. Abdelkader brings some grit. He can score goals. Darren Helm brings speed. He's also a great penalty killer. Drew Miller, same deal. He's a great penalty killer. He's an awesome defensive forward. So some guys who have some type of tangible quality, and just try to get a 5th or 6th defenseman in here to really shore up that back end, because right now we're very forward heavy. And I think both of us were surprised at the trade deadline that they didn't go out and get a defenseman at all.
All right. Before we wrap up the podcast, this Saturday is the Final Four. You got Florida taking on UConn, the upset-minded UConn with, like we talked about earlier, Napier dropped 20-plus points on the Spartans. He is a player single-handedly that could, if he gets hot, single-handedly carry Connecticut over Florida. And then you have in the other matchup, Wisconsin. Kind of a surprise, maybe not to some. The 2 seed taking on a young upstart. Some people calling them the Fresh Five in Kentucky. What is your thoughts just on the Final Four, and who do you think is going to take it down?
I like Florida beating UConn.
As do most.
And I think Kentucky's got enough to get by Bo Ryan and Wisconsin. And then I think it's Florida. Florida's playing at just this breakneck pace. They look really good. They're at least 6 guys deep who are awesome. So I like Florida.
Just in terms of the tournament, has it been one that you'd say has been successful? Have you been excited by it? Have you been let down because the Michigan teams didn't make it to the Final Four? Or is this something you're going to tune into on Saturday?
I probably won't tune in Saturday, but I'll probably tune in Monday. I was really heartbroken by the Michigan loss, especially the way they lost with 2 seconds left and just a giant 3. So I was really just like, I felt like my heart got ripped out of me. I'm guessing that's how you felt as a Michigan State fan, but I don't really care. I'll just watch whoever gets there, and I like to always tune in for one shining moment, and that's kind of my deal.
But in the Michigan game, they started jacking up way too many threes again
That's
at the
how
end.
they play, man.
And you know what? If you listen to our podcast, we told you the weakness of Michigan is rebounding and defense and in terms of executing their shots. You can't take that many shots. You can't take that many three-pointers. The strategy should have been different with Michigan. They should have attacked more, and I just think that, the loss of McGarry was obviously something that hurt the Wolverines. But you know what? Last year, Trey Burke hit a miraculous 3 to advance versus Kansas. And so now it kind of, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. And so that's just how kind of things roll. And yeah, I kind of was a little bit let down, but there have been some great games. And the one thing when people say, what do you think about all these players one and done? You know what? Whenever you have a high-class group of athletes and they compete against each other, it's always entertaining. It could be better, yes. And the reason why is, imagine if all these players returned next year. Could you imagine with Mitch McGarry, with Dawson at Michigan State, with Gary Harris? Unfortunately, the option to leave is there for them, so they should take it. But just remember back in the day, cuz when all these players would play against each other, they would come back the next year and Duke and Kentucky would battle it out again.
They would hate each other.
With
so much
seniors
animosity
and
there.
juniors, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of takes the luster out in that it's kind of like a whole new crop every year, so it's not the same luster as it had in the past. And so that's just kind of a different flavor for the NCAA. But it's still a great event, and unfortunately, we can root for Wisconsin in the Big Ten, but it looks like it's Florida's to lose, and Donovan's going to take home another title. Man, I hate that because, like I said, a lot of people are hating on Tom Izzo because he's only won that one title, and a lot of people have only won one. So he needs that second title to validate him as the guy. He's the guy. He gets a lot of respect, but he needs that second title to validate him, in my opinion. And so that's, I think, where we'll leave it. Our time is up. It's another good podcast, cuz I've had a good time. We enjoyed our Coors Light. We got a chance to talk about our Tigers, got a chance to rap about all the things that have been going on in sports. Check out our podcast weekly, every Thursday. You can download us. You can check our Facebook page. We post our podcast links there. You can check us out on Twitter at Detroit Podcast. And for all the news related to the Detroit Sports Podcast, please just visit our website at www.detroitsportspodcast.com. He is the Jock, Adam Strozinski. I am the Doc, John McEroon. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you listen again next time.
Go Tigers.
Talk sports any place, anytime, anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, look, this would be great to be wasted. Can we get drunk and do a whole show?
You got to check out their stuff. I mean,